Sometimes it's as you said, it's very, very long. I think with sports, you have this unique thing that unifies people. Like nothing brings people together like sport does. And you always are happy to enjoy that sense of human achievement. And that's why I think sports will not be, it's one of the few entertainment industries that is not going to be disrupted by AI or other types of entertainment, because
I think it'll be disrupted.
But not completely, what I mean, completely substitute. So I cannot imagine a world where AI robots playing American football would be more interesting than actual people playing football. And even in I always say this, in sports like F1, where technology plays a key role and AI is obviously changing the way things are working, you still have one person driving the car. I don't think self-driving car will be more interesting than cars driven by people.
No, I would agree with that. I think that the athletes will be more important than ever.
Yeah.
I think it'll be easier to become an athlete than ever because, for example, there's probably been 10,000 better F1 drivers born and died than the best F1 drivers that we've seen drive. The reason is that like becoming an amazing F1 driver is like it's basically an accident of the lottery.
Yeah,
you have to have the aptitude, but you also have to be born into a family or a place where you can go through the academies, right? And so there's probably been we've actually probably never seen the best F1 drivers because they probably never drove a car. And so I think the way technology will change it is the simulations will get so real that it will take the cost to train to become an F1 driver down to the point where the available pool of drivers is 100x what it is today. Maybe 1,000x.
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, the drivers will get more important and the races will get more exciting and it will completely change the race. But, from a perspective of, it'll also be easier to field a team. You'll need less people. You won't really need a wind tunnel. You won't need, but at the end of the day, will anyone want to watch autonomous cars drive around a track? I don't think so. Because they'll all drive the same.
Yeah.
Now, I think it'll change the sports business and it'll change the talent pipelines, but I think people will still want to watch people play. I think generally, it's funny, people ask me a lot what I'm investing in, with the whole AI thing, and it's always entertaining because I'm not an investor, I'm an entrepreneur, but I think that the safe category of things that you can put your money to work in are hard materials, hard money, and then entertainment. Because I think the demand for entertainment is going to go up pretty exponentially. And you can actually see that already. If you look at the value of the entertainment industry in 1900, it was tiny. And then we invented mechanized farming. And we went from, about 75 to 80% of the human population basically working full-time on feeding the human population to 7 to 8%. That was sort of the last big revolution of this scale that we've seen. And in that revolution, the value of the entertainment industry went up about somewhere around 1,000x over a 100-year period.
Yeah.
And I think that you'll probably, as we go through this next iteration, I think you'll probably see another several orders of magnitude exponential increase in the value of entertainment.
And if you look at all the entertainment landscape, sports and I think music, they both have a similar thing in common, which is that it's the only entertainment that you need to consume live. So in a world where everything is consumed on demand, sports needs to be consumed live, and nothing is better than the experience of going to the stadium and enjoying that common sense with belonging with the fans.
Now, I will say that I actually think that the music industry, I think musicians are going to become less valuable. The reason that I think musicians will become less valuable and are already becoming less valuable is if you look at inflation-adjusted terms, they're making less money today than they used to. The reason is probably because it's become easier to be a musician. So there's more of them.
Yeah.
And so, nowadays, go back to the Beatles, there's no auto-tune for the Beatles. You had to get up live on stage and deliver that. And it took insane talent and nerves of steel. Now, like we have live auto tuning, live patching. The productions have become as much about the show as they are about sort of the vocals, or like you can swap out the musicians. And what's interesting is a lot of the best paid musicians in the world today are actually DJs.
Yeah,
who are not singing live at all, right?
Or playing an instrument live. Yeah.
Right. The person who's probably going to make the most money over the next decade in the music industry is a DJ. Probably either Tiesto or Black Coffee. And so because like the technology has made it easier to be a musician and has made it easier to be a musical entertainer, I think that that sector the sector will grow. I agree with you, but the individual value of being a musician is declining.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very interesting view. Going back to the Cowboys partnership, the first thing, and this has been, I'd say, the traditional business model of the sport industry, that essentially has been transferring the attention and the audience to a third party, whether it was a sponsor or broadcaster. So if you look at the business model, it basically lies on three big revenue sources: media rights, sponsorship, and events, merchandise, or commercial businesses. The media rights business model, it was essentially, the sport properties selling their rights and a third party that was a broadcaster talking directly to the fans. I think with technology, that business model has been challenged. So for tier one properties like the NFL or the NBA or Premier League, there's always going to be value over the media rights. But the media right business has been growing over the last 25 years. And now it's plateauing or decreasing for many properties. In sponsorship, it was a little bit the same. So brands were coming to sports because sports were putting together huge audiences and they were coming just for the visibility. But today, as you mentioned before, it's not only the visibility, it's everything that you're able to build around it. So I'm curious to know, how are you activating your sponsorship with the Cowboys to make it more effective and drive your business goal, your ultimate business goals?
Yeah, I mean, we activate in two ways. One is that we do a lot of institutional and client events there. So we have a hospitality set up in the stadium and do a lot of hosting at the games. The other thing that we do is stadium activations. So we have folks that are doing stuff outside the stadium as well with sort of the fan base there. And then we work with some of the Cowboys players as well. So we do activations sort of across the whole stack. I, transparently am not the expert on activations or that sort of stuff. So it's hard for me to go into super detail on it. But we do have a team actually that's based in Dallas that's dedicated to activating that partnership.
Yeah, I saw some of the things that you did, and like, for example, the math book about the Cowboys, and it goes completely outside of what you could think a traditional sponsorship would look like. So I thought that was very interesting. How are you using your brand and the partnership to activate in different areas to try to reach new people? So it's very interesting to see the work that you're doing there, because it's not anymore what you said, just the brand visibility. It's also how that can drive your business goals. And when you look at this sort of partnership or the sports landscape, is there anything else that you say, or any industries that you see particularly interesting or opportunity to invest, especially thinking about your growth strategy or international expansion?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the F1.
F1. You just said that the economics didn't work.
I love the F1. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I don't know what deal will be next. I think it'll be attached to a market entry, is my guess. And similar to the last one, I think that we look at a lot of these deals. It's probably a good time to be doing them right now, honestly. But we'll see. I don't know that there's anything imminent on the horizon, but I would imagine that it'll be to support a new market.
Yeah, and in terms of global expansion, I'm curious to know because, people think about when they think about blockchain crypto, people think about immediately about the first developed countries, but actually, blockchain crypto can be enabled for all the people that doesn't have access to traditional banks or financial industry.
There's far more users of crypto products outside of the EU and US than there are in.
So what are the markets that are more where crypto has more potential for in your view, or the markets that you are prioritizing?
I don't really take a view on potential. I take a view on like user numbers.
Yeah.
And so if you look at Nigeria, Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia, Turkey, the Philippines, they'll all have far more users than the EU. Each one will have more users than the EU.
Interesting.
Turkey will have an order of magnitude more users than the EU. Nigeria will have more users than the EU. Argentina will have more users than the EU. Brazil might now have more users than the EU. And I'm just using the EU because we're sitting in Europe. But like all of those markets will be bigger by user count than the EU or the US for that matter.
And for blockchain.com, are those markets a priority, or you're focusing more?
I mean, Nigeria is our fastest growing market right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Nigeria is our fastest growing market. We'll open local operations in Brazil later this year, India later this year. We have local operations in Argentina. It's a very global business.
Well, I didn't thought. Well, in all those markets that you mentioned.
Yeah, I would say like our consumer business is very much BRIC countries, which is just typical of crypto usage right now, and our institutional business is very US.
You're very US focused.
Mm-hmm. US and London.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't thought that the main user base was going to be in all those.
For sure. Actually, technology is usually adopted by those countries first now. So even if you look at VoIP messaging, so WhatsApp, so like texting over a data protocol rather than like a SMS protocol. It reached critical mass and popularity in the BRIC countries years before it did in the EU or US.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time. Well, I worked for Meta for over 6 years, so
cool.
I'm very aware of how WhatsApp was an enabler in countries like India.
Yeah, actually, if you look at the WhatsApp user growth journey, like user growth story, which was like mostly emerging market, and then eventually, and then Europe, and then just now America.
Yeah.
Americans are still not using it. It's very similar to crypto. Yeah, you can almost map out. You can almost like tack the two on top of each other.